Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, you know, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
The following podcast is brought to you exclusively by the Rad Rob Radio Network.
Welcome to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. This podcast is hard-hitting, in-depth, cutting-edge look into the sport of bowling. You will get unfettered access into the mind of one of the most gifted bowlers of this generation, who just happens to be the son of a living legend. So, without further ado, let's introduce you to the host of the show, Rad Rob, Rob Francois, Dr. Ocho, and the incomparable Johnny Petraglia Jr.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 2 of Straight Up 5. I am your host, Rad Rob, Rob Francois, joined by my partner in crime, the sexiest doctor and bowler in the world. Actually, well, no, he's not. You're the sexiest doctor in the world, not the sexiest bowler. We have the sexiest.
No, combined.
Oh, okay, well, that makes sense. No, that makes sense. Okay.
Combined.
You know the Golden Pipes. It is the one and only Dr. Ocho. What's going on, brother?
I'm glad to be here. I'm glad I'm always still getting made fun of, that my voice is going, look at the guns, and this will be a different type of rant, but I always flex when I bowl too. So
will it be different though? I mean, it's still
no, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
We are joined by the aforementioned sexiest bowler in the entire world. It is the son of a legend, and a legend in his own right as well. It is the one and only Johnny Petraglia Jr. JP, what's up, buddy?
What's up, Big Rob? Hello, best doctor / bowler.
It's good to see you, my man. We always have good talk, so it's fun to bring it out to nature and let everybody hear.
Sure is.
So, if you guys don't know, I don't know how much we really got into it in the first episode, but Johnny Jr. and Dr. Ocho have known each other for quite a while now. JP used to live on the East Coast, but now he's out in sunny Las Vegas. What made you move out there, Johnny? I never actually asked you when I was getting to know you. What made you want to go out to the West Coast?
At that time, my wife.
That's fair.
She had moved out here a year before, and I had finished school, and I was kind of just woke up one day and said, "I think I'm ready to go get my girl back." So I came out here, and it wound up being the best move I ever made, because I've been out here for about 10 years now, and enjoying every minute of it.
So you really like being out there? You have no need or no desire to go back home to the East Coast?
The needs that I miss from the East Coast is the warmth of the people, if you can believe that or not.
That's kind of funny, actually. That's really funny, dude.
That's why I left the Northeast.
But takes one to know one is what it is, I think, is what he's saying, though, too.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're nasty but kind. Like, I saw a meme on Facebook. It had a flat tire, and it says, somebody from the West Coast says, "Oh, man, that really sucks." And then they keep going. And then people from the East Coast say, "Give me that fucking jack. You're doing it all wrong."
Hey, you stupid idiot. Let me get in there and do it for you.
So, in other words, I miss the there's a little bit more, in my experience, a little bit more sense of family where I'm from as compared to here. It's, you know your neighbor's name back home. Out here, it's a little bit more difficult. But so aside from that, and my mother's cooking, and obviously the fact that my mom and dad are still out east, and my sister, no, I'm perfectly content waking up every day with no gnats, no mosquitoes, no humidity, and I can play golf all year, every day, and stay away from booze and gambling, and life's good.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, but, let's address the elephant in the room, and that would be Dr. Ocho.
My arms.
Yeah. Do you miss Ocho? I know he came out and visited you a few weeks ago, but, guys like him are they only come along once in a lifetime, especially him.
But we're only good in small doses, Rob. That's the other thing, and JP knows that.
Is that what it is? I mean, do you miss the camaraderie of hanging out with your buds from back home?
I do. And truth be told, my buds that I grew up with when I was in Jersey a lot of them are not in Jersey anymore. A couple off the top of my head. Dave O'Sullivan from Yonkers. Now he's in Florida. Sean Riccardi from New Jersey. Now he's
Sean, our buddy Sean.
Exactly. So
Florida now. Yep. No kidding.
A lot of my friends that I hung out with from back then are not there anymore. And the ones that still are, I still maintain a great relationship with and see every chance I can, or at least talk to and say hi every time I'm going home.
Gotcha. Okay. So
that camaraderie you're talking about kind of goes with the ball busting, I think, that you were trying to say as far as like the East Coast versus look, I know you're never leaving the West Coast, and I don't blame you. Like you said, I didn't know there weren't any bugs out there until I ventured. Who knew? You're just used to them. You just figured they're there. But it's when you say like the nastiness but friendliness, it's the ball busting / camaraderie, because you had mentioned camaraderie just a minute ago. Maybe that's how the tie-in is with what you get on the East versus politeness, but maybe I don't want to say standoffishness. You like you said, you don't know your neighbor.
Exactly.
You might know your neighbor, but eventually it takes a while to break down the wall, I guess.
Mm-hmm. The camaraderie is especially big for me with the bowling. Is even pre-COVID, and not even bowling against an opponent. Nobody really runs them out here. Nobody slaps them out. Nobody really seems to give a shit.
Get enthusiastic or anything. There's no oh my gods or nothing.
Right.
Oh geez.
I've always liked that. I've always appreciated a little bit of emotion, or I like to know that somebody bowled 300 in the building. Like that happens all the time in league out here. People bowl 300 game 1 or 2 on lane 29 and 30. You're on 13 and 14, and you have no idea they bowled 300.
Wow.
And anybody out here that's a bowler will tell you the same thing. You have no idea. So I don't like that. There's there's not as much high-fiving your teammates out here. There's not as much camaraderie in the bowling center itself.
Out here, there was always like we could talk the smack on the lanes, but always have the handshake afterwards, and the toast in the pub after, whether you drink or not. You know what I mean? I know, but it seems like you could always leave it out on the lanes, whether it's out here or not. I never been there except for the tournament, so I don't know.
Bowling's a sport. I mean, NFL guys go to war every week with each other. They're not
and handshake, right?
Yeah, and then when they're done, they shake each other's hand. The goal is to still beat your opponent. I mean, we're all competitive by nature to some extent if we're involved in this sport. I mean, I never step on the lanes and say, I can't wait to lose to this guy, or I hope I don't throw urethane and upset this other lefty on my pair that doesn't know what to do because I'm throwing urethane. Oh, I should have prepped better today to make sure that I didn't ruin your night, so I can't throw this bowling ball. And so, that kind of stuff.
Oh, it's taking the fun, not taking the fun out of it, but just like you're saying, you want that emotion, you want that the drama a little bit, and then which even makes the handshake better afterwards, because you leave it out there, almost like Pete Weber, you do your talking, and then hey, I'm going to be graceful in defeat or victory, that kind of thing.
What other reason do you have to get fired up then? If it's just bowling, anybody can go out there and shoot and go home. You want to battle somebody. You want to verbally spar with somebody. You want to, like Johnny said, slap one out or run one out just to piss somebody off. You want to talk shit to somebody because it motivates you to do better. If everyone's out there just playing their game and going home, what's the fun in that?
The whole point of athletics is to feel something. Everybody that competes athletically in any sport, the goal is whether their thought process is I want to beat this guy or I just want to be the best version of me possible. Whatever it is, they're out there with a goal in mind. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. Ocho can definitely vouch for this with me. I mean, I haven't been to the gym in 3 weeks. I feel like a part of me is missing. I've been wondering why my head has been going so nuts. And then if I'd have been the same me 4 years ago before I'd ever been to a gym before, I would have never even thought about it. So you eventually, over time, you realize, hey, I'm getting good at this or I'm getting good at that, and you want to get better at it, and that's what athletes do. And
that's actually life almost too, right? Like
Really?
it's almost you really like whether it's work, whether it's I saw how you had to work and you're doing a couple jobs at once that aren't even yours. We're not going to go into detail, but like it's the same motivation. It's the same, like, I'm going to do better. It's waking up every day, putting your pants on and doing better, which again, sports, life, I guess it all does tie in, me. And now we're not trying to do something philosophical, but like shit, you're not off on that.
Nice. Thanks, man.
There you go.
Well, let's get to our first official segment, which I've been looking forward to for quite a while. You never know what JP Jr. is going to say. You never know what is truly on his mind. So let's get into it. Let's get into Petraglia Unplugged.
It's now time for Petraglia Unplugged. We never know what Johnny is going to say, so if you have small humans around, you may want to have them leave the room. We'll wait. No, really. We literally have no idea what Junior will say. Great, thanks. Here is Petraglia Unplugged.
The first thing that obviously I would like to address the elephant in the room about is the recipient of the ESPY award this year for the PBA. I don't quite understand how any sane human being decided that envelope should not have gone to Kyle Troop. I mean, we've been in a sport that for going on approximately 25 years now has been on a decline. It has struggles. The purses when we lost the ABC contract, moving to CBS, not getting in the right time slots, going up against NFL. We finally have Coley and this blessing in the PBA and this negotiation with Fox to broadcast our sport and give it a chance to show the world that not only are bowlers athletes and showmen, but now if you get good enough at it, you can actually make a living. You're not going to get a Mike Trout. You're not going to get a Mike Trout contract. You're not going to get anything like that. Not yet. But you can make $500,000 in a PBA season, and a shortened PBA season at that, with the amount of purses that are available. Kyle Troop did that. Nobody in the history of this sport has ever made more money in a single season than that young man did this year. While doing that, he is a gym rat. He has told his story coming up from working at the window at Wendy's to managing a Wendy's, the son of a PBA Hall of Famer, everything he went through, and now he tops the earnings record. He wins the major. He wins the playoffs. And he is the definition of class. He is 100% committed to his fans, 100% committed to his image, which is the most attractive thing in the public eye in this sport since Pete Weber, and all of his charisma and all of his bad boy attitude and his talent. Kyle Troop is the only person other than Pete Weber and Jason Belmonte that have that possess that. Norm Duke does it absolutely as well. And there's more that I'm not mentioning, but I'm going to stick to my rant right now. And that's the fact that when you look at everything in perspective, the only possible way right now to make somebody that's more noticeable in the public eye than Jason Belmonte is what Kyle Troop did this year. And they didn't give him the ESPY.
Who won?
Tom Doherty, who was fourth in earnings this year, who had a spectacular World Series of Bowling, winning the Players' Championship, as well as one additional event. I believe it was the Scorpion. Don't quote me on that. And all in all, Tom's a fantastic bowler, and he had a good season, a really good season. But with all due respect, if you're going to give it to Tom, why did you also skip over Francois Lavoie, who also won a couple majors this year and also made more money than Tom Doherty? So I don't have any idea whatsoever, and I will fight anybody that wants to tell me why Kyle Troop is not this year's ESPY recipient.
You can't even figure out the criteria is what you're saying. Like, you're taking the earnings, you're taking the tournament wins, you're taking the television appearances, and it still doesn't, the bowling math doesn't add up is what you're getting at.
Exactly. They have the chance to create another hero in our sport. Somebody that's loud, somebody that's different, somebody that is exactly what this generation needs.
A personality to follow, and now you're invested. You're invested in them too. You know, the Wendy's thing, like you said, you're invested. The pick, the fro.
I didn't get invested in that, Butch. You did. I didn't even. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I didn't mention the pick or the fro. Of everything that I just said, you mentioned that. That's just what I'm
from watching. Exactly. It's what sticks. Can
we take a deep dive down this? We know where ESPN stands, ABC more in general, or Disney really. Political wise, is it because there's an agenda? Is it because Tom Doherty might fit, their beliefs or their mission statement? Is Troop? I mean, you have to think about all things, right?
I have.
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make him one
of the dumbest decisions I've ever seen. And I'm friendly with Tom, and I'm very, very friendly with Kyle, and I just don't understand how it happened. I just don't understand it.
That's fair. Because, I mean, if you want to even...
And I guess, it is ignorant for me to sit here and say, because I don't have all the facts.
Right.
I am not out on tour. I'm not there every week. I don't know what's going on every week. So my opinions are, in fact, my opinions on the situation, but I feel that I'm backing my opinions with some pretty decent criteria.
That's why I was asking, is it because whoever's, voting for this, or do we even know who is voting for this? Is there a board?
That's what I was going to say. ESPN, do they know even? That's exactly what I was going at, Rob. Good point.
I do not know. That's a great question as well. We'll have to find that one out.
Because, I'm not saying, political agendas or life views have anything to do with it, but, this is a pretty public company like Disney who has shown the fact that they're leaning left. If you want to go on the wrestling side, two women or a woman won the ESPY for WWE because she was in the main event of WrestleMania, which is a choreographed event. It's I don't want to call it fake, but it's not a real sport. But just because they want to get a black female over, that's my opinion only. But ABC and Disney are pretty woke, so there has to be some kind of a reason why they had Doherty win, because maybe they don't like Troop. Maybe somebody has an axe to grind. Maybe they don't
But they even know enough, though. That's the thing, Rob.
That's another thing. Do they know?
I don't mean like that.
Do they know anything about bowling? Right.
Yeah, because only Fox is the one that's bringing this back out of the gutter. No pun intended. Hey, great segue, Ocho. But like JP saying, since Chris Schenkel's been gone, 97-ish, I think, since when ABC, the decline started, and now Fox is bringing it out, and they finally get their personality. I don't know. Conor McGregor would win ESPYs for being brash and all that, and
True.
And Kyle Troop doesn't say bad things either. I don't think he does. So I don't know that there'd be an agenda or anything. So not that I'm not trying to debunk it on the spot, but I can't imagine there's even enough info out that could say, nah, we don't want this guy. He wears Partridge Family pants or something like that. Maybe it's just a bad decision. Maybe JP's right.
Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe that's all it comes down to. Maybe we're looking at it too deep. I don't know. I'd like to bring up all sides and all angles, to try to justify why something like that would happen. But if we don't know the criteria and we don't know who votes for this, we don't know who makes the decisions. It could be a producer. It could be anybody. It could be the catering guy. Who knows? Based on what JP said, it doesn't make sense.
Oh, I got something. Is this the Tampa Tom thing? I just thought of something.
Yes.
So maybe they did that for that. Because the Lightning and the Rays and all, I only just thought of that because I think I watched it like a couple months ago.
That has to be. And honest to God, if it was an ESPY and bowling is on Fox, it's not on ESPN, that could very well be that they wanted to keep it all in the city of Tampa.
Just for shits and giggles.
In my brain now, the only conceivable reason why the ESPY went that direction.
Leave it to Ocho to figure that out.
This is why, and that's because really, I got that trap door. I got the trap door, and I didn't even know who the guy was, but I remember hearing the name.
Why do you know that? That's so weird.
He knows the dumbest shit.
I saw it a few months ago. I swear to God, and I remember hearing it about the freaking Brady winning, and the Rays and the Lightning last year. Now, obviously, I don't even know when the ESPYs were, but the Lightning only just won a few days ago. So, or whenever we do this whenever it gets dropped. It was a few days ago. Now I just ruined it, but whatever.
It doesn't matter.
You can edit that part out.
But no, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So Ocho did figure that out.
I had a light bulb moment. That's all.
Is there anything else on your mind, Johnny, that's pissing you off lately?
I do have one other thing that I'd like to bring to light, you could consider it a rant, but I also think that it's information that should be shared because, truth be told, I do spend a decent amount of time on Facebook. I love to scroll. I love to put on inspirational quotes that have helped me through my darkest times. And honestly, even though I'm a little bit of a showman and I'm always trying to make everybody happy a little bit too much, I am very, very real in the things that I say. So the information that I provide is definitely for the benefit of everybody. So I want everybody to understand that before I go into this discussion. I cannot tell you how many people rely on layouts on bowling balls now. I got 8 new bowling balls this week. I put this one at 40 by 3 1/4 by 40. This one's 80 by 6 by 70. And the numbers and the surfaces and the this and the that and worrying about the lane pattern and the milliliters of the oil and this and that. And meanwhile, I'm reading through these scrolls and I'm looking at the scores of what they're posting. And I'm saying to myself, if I couldn't hit this cigarette lighter laying this way on the bowling lane 5 times in a row, can I curse?
Yeah,
Why the
Please do. Go.
Why the fuck does any of what I just said matter? So I want you all to consider some things here real quick. I am in no way, shape, or form a professional bowler. I have never committed near the time nor the dedication to the sport that those guys do. But I am talented, and I have been around the game for a long time. And I'm an historian. I love everything about the history of this sport. And every single successful bowler that I've encountered in my life all have 2 or 3 layouts that they absolutely love. They've experimented with every layout and every surface imaginable, but certain layouts work for certain bowlers. Go watch any of Walter Ray's 250 television shows that he's on. The pin is outside his ring finger on every show, except maybe 1 or 2. Every show. Francois Lavoie coming into this year. I don't care if he's throwing the RST, a phase 2, an IQ, whatever he's throwing, his pin's right around 130. Period. Jesper, he's got the 10-inch pin that he's using where the weight block's on the other side of the ball. On almost everything. I mean, you guys are making not only the technology of this sport, which is crucial, so overly complicated, but half these numbers you guys are talking about, I don't even know what you're talking about. So how can I even expect that you do? So when you go to the lanes, try and hit a dime 7 or 8 times or 100 like Parker Bone III. Do that, and then from there, then go drill a couple plug bowling balls, experiment with different surfaces, and find out where you want to see your ball change direction. And if you don't know where that is, turn on any bowling show from 1980 to the present. The balls all change direction at the same spot. They're all going downhill at a certain spot. And it's your job for your own game to figure out what benefits your game the best. I don't use my thumb. I either throw plastic or urethane drilled directly over the label, or I have one layout where the pin is about 5 inches away from my center line, where I can flip my wrist a little bit more and it's not too angular. That's all I do. Everything else is surface dependent. I know where the ball has to be at the break point on most conditions, and the technology allows you those options to get the ball to that spot. The more you screw around with all these crazy layouts and all these numbers and you're worrying about a half an inch this way or that way being off, you guys are going to drive yourself nuts. Get in the lanes and practice. This is a sport. The guys out there are the best in the world because they practice their craft. The same way, I said Mike Trout already, but the same way Mike Trout goes out and he hits however many hundreds of baseballs in batting practice and fields however many flies before the game starts. He's not doing it necessarily because he wants to or has to. He's doing it because it's his job. And then he goes and he has fun on the field. Takes care of the work first, and then he goes and he applies it on the lanes. You guys make this a little bit too overly scientific when it's already too overly scientific. Yeah. So
you're saying it's almost like an amateur golfer going out with 28 clubs or something like that, and instead of like a 5.5 iron, a 6 iron, a 6.5 iron, a 7 iron, like having all this repertoire at their disposal and still being a 30 handicap,
right.
Instead of learning how to pierce a 7 iron 800 times in a row, or 888 times in a row for me, and then building off that and then tinkering your angles. And so I get it. They're overcomplicating it. Like you said, a complicated sport. But they're only ruining their own freaking game because they're never going to learn to repeat anything because they're working with the ball rather with their own shot and letting the ball do the work.
They're all over the place. Yeah. I mean, can I dumb it down a little bit, Johnny? Bowling is pretty basic. I mean, if you're good enough, you line up on your shot, you throw it, you hit your mark or where you want your mark to be. The ball doesn't, it comes up light. So you adjust on the lane. Ball's coming up heavy. It's all about adjusting and making sure your mechanics are correct and making sure that you're accurate on your shot every time. What difference does it make if you're changing the layout in these bowling balls? All you have to do is adjust to the conditions, right?
To start, I guess. To start.
At the pinnacle level, no, you have to have all the tricks. But yes, for instance, a league bowler that shows up for a standard 3-game league. Nobody needs more than 3 bowling balls for 3 games of league. Right. Nobody. Right. If you can't go to league with a ball that's dull and or symmetrical or asymmetrical and or shiny or some hybrid and one or the other and something you could shoot every spare with, I don't.
What if they're all free? What if they're all free?
Because they're games to throw more than max 5 bowling balls, and that's if I'm trying to bowl 250 in an event where my average is behind pace going into day 3 of qualifying.
Right.
It's at that point, it's okay. Now I have to figure out a way to bowl 250. I can't keep bowling 220. So I have to frantically get there. Okay, fine. In league, you don't even have enough time to decipher what's wrong and what's right. By the time you change balls the 3rd time, the lanes are already different than the first 6 shots you threw in warm-up.
Right, exactly.
So when I watch people bring all these bowling balls to league, I'm like, you guys are just making this game so much more difficult. And I know you're going to go home tonight, and then you're going to say next week when I go back to league, I'm going to leave this damn good verge at home, but I'm going to bring my obsession tour because this is the look I needed last week. And then you're going to show up to league next week, and you're going to bitch that the lane man did him wrong, and you should have brought the verge. And then the next week, you're going to say they didn't buff the approaches, and it's just an ongoing cycle. And then you're going to say your layouts suck. So I just think more of it that the layout is a dismal part as compared to the surface. The surface of the ball is what touches the lane. The ball changes direction dependent on that surface, your speed, your revs, your accuracy, right, and your launch angle. But if the surface is wrong, you could still do all those things right and get 7. So if you really truly believe that a 40 by 3.5 by 25 is going to make all the difference in the world from a 40 by a 4.25, stop right now and just start over, because you're going to bang your head against the wall for the rest of your bowling career thinking like that.
Now, real quick,
we touched on that though on the first show, Rob. If you remember, we touched on that about the layouts and the technology and the house shot and everything. And this is still kind of going along those lines because there's so many layouts. But on a house shot, you got your 8 boards you can hit anyway. They all might work, and then they all don't work one day. So it's the same thing. Now that's like he's saying. You're chasing a 250 in the last block of a tournament. Sure, but in your 3 games, you just pipe it how you should and don't overthink, basically. We were talking about it in a different sense of like, did it make bowling too easy for league bowlers? But it's still the same when you circle back. It's still kind of the same premise.
Yeah, I mean, it's the average of league bowlers today is obviously higher, but it's comparable to bowlers of yesteryear. Like when I was a kid, I was 2-teen in league, I was 2-teen when I was 13.
Which was a freaking monster. That's the thing back then. You're old.
I'm like mid 230s in league now. I'm not 25 pins better than I was when I was 17. The lanes are the balls, the technology of the bowling balls, the oils, the more predictability, the newer lane surfaces, the pins being on spot every time from the right pin setters. and the balls being too strong because the pins are still 3 pounds, 6 ounces when it's all said and done. So, no, I haven't gotten 20 pins better. The same way your 205 league bowler was probably 185 20 years ago. It's all elevated. It's all elevated by the technology of the sport.
Let's remember that too for another topic for about should the pins get way more something for the next show or the next couple shows, something like that. That's a side piece there.
That'd be a good combo to have for the next one for sure.
As we wrap up the first segment here, Johnny, just to go back to my initial question, just to kind of dumb it down for maybe somebody that's listening to this that doesn't know all the ins and outs about bowling, to go back to what I said about adjusting, to the condition of the lanes. When you say you need all your whole bag of tricks for the pro shot or for tournaments, what do you mean by that? Why isn't it just, hey, my ball is going heavy, I got to move left, or my ball is going light, I got to move right? Why does that make a difference to have all different kinds of bowling balls?
I'll compare it to a baseball hitter. There's some guys that are really, really good at hitting homers down the left field line. They're usually the guys that average about 200 to 220 and hit about 35 dingers. And then there's the other guys like Tony Gwynn or gosh, I've been so out of baseball. I don't even know who the best hitters are.
DJ LeMahieu will go with right now if you want to for the Yankees.
And then you have the guys that hit 330 and they still hit 20, 25 homers in a year. And then when they show the chart of where all the hits go, they're all over the field.
Right.
Mattingly. Let's use Mattingly. How about that?
Okay,
I like it.
They know how to go with what's given to them rather than trying to make what they do best work all the time. So Norm Duke is the best in the world at playing 1-2. He's the best in the world. But he goes to a bowling tournament, and if 1-2 is not in play, he's not going to try and stay on 1-2 because he's the best in the world at playing 1-2. He's going to say, if I could split this every single shot for 42 games, I could do it from somewhere else on the lane and get it to the spot that the ball has to change direction because this ain't working. The same way if somebody throws you a low changeup away, you go with it opposite way.
Right.
And if they throw you a hanging curve in, you pull it down the line. You have to adapt to every single variable that the sport presents, and that could be anything from topography of a lane condition to an offset pin to a softer lane bed, whatever it is, anything that's going on, that's what's up.
Go ahead.
There are 39 boards on a bowling lane, and right-handers count right to left, and left-handers count left to right. So when I say 1-2 and Norm Duke being the best at it, I mean that Norm Duke can hit the 1-2 board.
Oh, the boards. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Oh, so you were wrong, Rob.
Right up the lip, riding the rail.
So he's feeding it in and letting the ball walk in the whole way, and you got to be super accurate because the damn gutter is staring right at your face.
If he misses a quarter inch to the right, it goes in the gutter.
It's in the ditch.
I was going to say the boards are not that.
If he misses 3/4 of an inch left, it goes through the nose.
Yeah, the boards aren't that wide. So, yeah, okay. That makes sense.
And he can do it easily. So if he has the option to, if he has the low inside curve that he wants to pull, he's going to play 1-2. If he needs to hit the low and away change up and go the other way and get the guy in, Norm will get in and slow his ball speed down and play the bank off 7-8.
So sometimes you're almost trying to hit for I don't mean like you're making your spares, basically getting your base hits rather than you may not be able to pipe it every time in the pocket and hit your home run. And the score is going to be fair. You just got to grind it out, stay in play basically, and try and hopefully recover whatever count you have, depending on the conditions. When it's not in your favor is what it is.
Yeah, it's totally comparable to an entire at bat in baseball. You're in the batter's box. There's a runner on third. There's one out. The count is 2-0. There's 2 balls and no strikes. Are you ready to hit the next pitch to Kingdom Come?
You're hoping to. It's a pitcher's absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
And it's going for a fastball too.
Now let's say it's 0-2. Now what are you
choking up? You're choking up and you're moving back in the box saying, I got to see every pitch and hopefully get some wood on it. Yeah.
You're going to be more selective about what you try to go at. Yeah.
Exactly.
Does that make you tentative when you're throwing the ball? I don't mean to take this longer, but because I got to figure now you're not in your comfort. No, these guys are pros. I shouldn't say it like that.
No,
it affects everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what were you going to say about it, Rob? I'll let you take the answer on
I was going to say it affects everybody. I mean, it doesn't matter if they're pros or not. I mean, just because they're great, just because, they have all the experience and they throw 150 games a week, it still affects, they still have to adjust as well. So just maybe because they have more repetitions, they're better at adjusting than somebody else would.
The best, sorry.
No, but to my point, and to what Ocho said, that regardless of how great you are, you can still walk into a building and never see that kind of pattern before. Or it could be something new that the PBA came out with that you've never seen. You don't know how your ball is going to adjust to it. So, I mean, yeah, it's easier for the better bowlers like that to adjust, but it still affects everybody regardless. You can't just go out there and expect to throw your shot, same shot every single week. Like Johnny said, same with the batters. It all depends on the situation. If you're in match play and you're down 30 pins and you don't know where the fuck your ball's going to go on the next shot, you are going to tense up. You are going to, try to take liberties and not, I don't want to say roll the ball, but kind of throw the ball.
You pointed almost.
Pointing it, right.
Is that kind of point?
Is that accurate, Johnny, or am I going off the deep end?
No, you're not going off the deep end at all. It's all completely accurate. I'm trying to keep it in the baseball comparison because it's all so relevant. That's kind of, I guess I'm getting at with and what you're saying about repetitions and doing it over and over again. The best way to learn is by failing. Like, I went to nationals for the last 6 years prior to this one, trying to play the gutter with a rubber LT. Why? Because pretty much everywhere I bowl, that ball worked.
Yeah.
And I've never shot close to 1,800. I've never shot close to even. I think I averaged like 189 at nationals. It's embarrassing. So this year I said, well, you know what I'm going to do this year? I'm going to do what every single successful left-hander in the world at the pinnacle of our sport is doing right now. I am going to throw urethane, and I'm going to hit the shit out of it, and I'm going to get it to 7 and 8, and I'm going to curve it a little bit, like Packy, like Jesper, like Jacob. I'm going to do what those guys do, and I'm going to see what happens. And I bowled 9 deuces and shot 200 over this year. By studying what people are doing better than you is how I learn. It's period, end of story. I got into nutrition because of Mr. Olympia, Jay Cutler. I got into training for that exact reason. I got into the wavelengths and the brainwaves of thinking that way and accepting the fact that you have to fail to get better. So, yes, when you're in a position where you're at a tournament and something doesn't look right, Butch, I watched you come out here and bowl USBCs this year. What you did was out of your comfort zone. You said, well, crap, I can't play. I can't throw it 100 miles an hour up the first arrow with my Balco arm. So
I'm standing inside and pointing.
So you moved. What you did was you said, I can hit what I'm looking at from the first arrow. I'm going to move it to like 13. I'm going to move it between the second and third arrow. And you shot even at nationals. That's a feat all in itself. And that is accepting that you have to do something different. Now, what I was trying to close with, and I promise, Rob, I'm done, but what I was going to say was the other thing that a lot of people miss, the guys on tour, I know the patterns are different, but they're not different enough that they're forced to do something completely different every week. Those guys are bowling out there, and at this point in their professional careers, those guys are bowling on house shots. To them, that's
for them, because they see the same thing over and over.
Yes, and I will vouch, and Anthony Simonson will vouch for me when I say this. When Anthony comes back and he bowls league, he struggles. He struggles his ass off because Anthony hits what he's looking at almost every time. And that's a big no-no in league. The guys that spray it down lane are usually the guys that strike more because they don't have to worry about burning up one spot. Anthony sees a spot burns, he makes a 1-1 move, and it turns into a 2-8-10. And I look at him in league, and he turns around all the time and says, this is way, way harder than the PBA. A lot of guys feel that way because to them, what we bowl on is foreign to them. It's not. I just said foreign, not foreign.
You're West Coast now, dude. You are totally West Coast.
I'm throwing up in my mouth. Hang on.
He nailed it.
Oh, forein.
I didn't understand half the bowling talk, but I understood when he said foreign.
Foreign. It doesn't. It sound. I feel ugly saying.
I know your dad would not say that.
Hopefully he doesn't listen to this because he will
eventually when he figures out how to use a tape recorder or something like that.
I was going to say it's 2021. I don't know what Facebook is.
We are going to take a break on that note, get a word from our sponsors. When we come back, the focus will be on Johnny once again with his tip of the week in Johnny's Pro Shop. We'll be right back.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to the second segment of Straight Up 5. It is time for the tips of the week in Johnny's Pro Shop.
Welcome to Johnny's Pro Shop. This is the place to learn from one of the best. Johnny Jr. will answer any questions you may have about all things bowling. So come in, feel free to look around, and JP Jr. will help you improve your game.
All right, Johnny, eventually we're going to have listener questions in the mailbag, so it'll make it a little bit easier to kind of field through the questions. But I do have questions of my own. Again, this is, on my level, who's been bowling for 30 years but still doesn't know shit. For the average listener that might be picking this up that doesn't know all the ins and outs, like I said, this is why we have you here, because of all your wealth of knowledge of bowling over the last, 20 or 30 years.
This sounds like a dirty segment, Rob, because so far you said the tip, you said the in and out, and you said the plugs, and I don't know what kind of segment we're doing here.
This is my favorite segment.
Oh, all right, then that makes sense. I didn't know where we were going, but now I get it.
You suck, right?
Anyway, so that being said, I know the reason why, but I'd like you to explain why. So in the winter, and it all depends on, I'm going to say balls too. Are you going to give me shit for saying balls, Oach?
That's how it started, basically. Oh, bag, your ball bag is what it was.
If you keep your ball bag in the garage during the winter, your balls are going to be cold, but so is your thumb. So when you get to the lanes and you put your thumb in the ball and there's about a half an inch room in your plug that's not supposed to be there, same with the summer, when you stick your thumb in the ball and the ball's hot, your thumb might be swollen. What do you do to adjust to that?
It's different now than it used to be. Nowadays, there are several alternatives that you can go to. Ultimate Bowling Products, Turbo, and Vice, all three of them offer an interchangeable thumb system. So anybody that in this day and age actually still using their thumb that has those issues would specifically make thumbs in the winter as well as the summertime. I know that I used to swell like crazy and my hand would get very, very sweaty when I was living on the East Coast, and my skin would literally rip off my thumb and I would have a death grip on it in the heat. And then I always suffered in summer bowling for that. I always bowled better in the winter because my hands were chapped, chalky, and dry, and I could get stuck in the ball and just really unleash it, so to speak.
Yeah.
But nowadays, interchangeable thumbs are definitely the way to go. And that's not even necessarily specific to winter, summer. That could be throughout the course of one league night. You got that teammate that drinks a 6-pack of beer before the night starts. His thumb is going to be bigger. He's going to be the guy that takes the cigarette box cellophane and he tries to shrink his thumb before league starts. Simply stated, the contents of what you're putting into your body are going to affect your hand as well. So other things that people do nowadays is they, like Sean Rash, for instance, will use a thumb mold. You could have a cast mold made of your favorite thumbs. So what I used to do when I use a mold system, I always had a couple bowling balls that felt great at certain times of the year because I either worked them out to the point that I knew they would fit, or I left them snug enough that I knew they would fit for a later on point in the season. So I made molds of different size thumbs. And then back then I would drill way less bowling balls than we do nowadays, so I wouldn't have to make as many if I was still using my thumb. That would be when I would go to the interchangeable thumb system just to have more choices and the convenience of transferring them. And for the other 40-some-odd% of bowlers that are now two-handed, they never have to worry about any of those problems.
You're absolutely right about that. So,
is it that much already that they're because obviously the Oscu and Jason
Belmo, yeah, I mean Belmo
first name. So they've done this. I see it on TV and these guys are the ones that are on TV. So is it up to 40% already, or is that just a pro stat?
That was a 1,000% guesstimate from.
I'm sorry, I got you.
What I viewed across the country thus far.
And still, you're pretty damn accurate with all your shit. So
I see it all the time.
We don't have a reason to doubt it.
I think 40 is high. It's probably more like, I would say at this point, maybe like 23 to 26.
As more bowlers go, it's going to be more and more because we're
every year we get older, it's going to go like this.
Exactly.
No, I mean I see a lot of guys without thumbs. I see a lot of two-handers in the local bowling alleys because of Belmo. Belmo revolutionized that style, and he was the most successful at it, and everybody wanted to be like him. So he fostered a whole new generation of bowlers that didn't even really know anything from the past and just saw him on TV and saw how great he was. I mean, dude, watching him on Dude Perfect would probably, got a lot of people involved in bowling too because of all the trick shots and all that too. So, yeah, they don't have to worry about that problem. Just to dumb that down just a little bit more to kind of explain what interchangeable thumbs means.
Okay, so I have a bowling ball that has a thumb hole that fits absolutely perfectly. Each system uses a different interlocking system, but basically 2 of the 3 aforementioned companies will use a plastic cylinder that's 1.5 inches in width, and then you use a corresponding drill bit, drill it all the way down to the base of the bowling ball, and you install it. And once it's installed, then you can make the thumbs to the exact sizes that you want, put them in the interlocking slot, cut that down, shave it out, the thumb comes out.
Hey, real quick, does that change the weight of the ball at all since you're taking more gunk out? Or I assume it's so tiny that you wouldn't even notice.
It changes the dynamics somewhat. I mean, it has to. You're at some point drilling that deep, you're going to hit something. You will at some point turn a symmetrical core into an asymmetric. But I think, no, they've pretty much got the drillings down now that.
Because it's now a popular thing that, yeah.
Yeah.
Look at Ocho pulling some shit out there. Yeah, buddy.
But yeah, it was one of the best inventions I think the sport's ever seen because it solved so many issues.
Tape.
Well, I was going to say, what I throw. I still throw a teal Rhino Pro and a forest green Quantum, so I have the thumb slugs that are in it. So I can't do that unless I were to take them out, fill the ball back up, and then re-drill it. Is that correct?
Oh wait, say that one more time.
I have a thumb slug. So if I wanted to use the interchangeable thumb system, I'd have to pull the slug out, plug the ball back up, and then drill it again.
Not necessarily. So it all depends on what your old pitches would have been in that thumb hole, as opposed to what you want your pitches to be now. So let's say you had 0 lateral pitch in your thumb hole and a 1/4 inch away or reverse or going away from your palm.
Right.
Whether you say away or reverse, it works either way. If you want to go with those exact same pitches, the largest circumference thumb slug that's made, well, they make 1.5 inches, but the biggest generic one is 1 3/8 inches. So whether you're using any of the 3 interchangeable systems, you have the ability to go through that slug completely, and you're going to be going deeper than that slug anyway. So there would be no need to plug it. You would just have to install the actual system and then recreate a new thumbs, so on. Okay,
that's good, because I might actually want to try that in the future. So that's good information to know, because I am an old school guy. I am a tape guy, as Ocho is. I mean, you put tape in, you take tape out just to adjust to your thumb. If it's shrunken or swollen. So that's what I did growing up. Now, when you say ripping your thumb open, dude, I had a JBT one time where I absolutely ripped my thumb open, and I had to put new skin on that. And for people that don't know what new skin, it's pretty much just pure alcohol. It's like an alcohol glue.
It's almost acetone and glue rolled into one.
Yeah, I mean, it burns like a son of a bitch. So usually you'll put this little fabric patch over it, and then just use fucking fingernail brush, like a little.
What's worse though? Is it worse to have it ripped open, or is it worse to have the new skin hit that bare spot and then you put your little patch over it?
The worst is that shit hitting. Yeah, whatever that.
You want to hear something really sick?
Yeah,
I loved the pain of new skin.
Really,
you felt alive.
I loved putting that flammable liquid right on the open wound.
It was flammable too.
Immediately dropping that little patch on it, covering it completely and then taking a cigarette lighter and torching it.
Does that shrink it up or something, or seal it? Or
it shrinks it up a little bit, but in the heat of the moment, it dries it faster.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool. No, that's good to know.
So we've talked about. I think he said bitches. We've talked 1.5 inch, and now we're talking flammable. And what was the other thing? Damn it! This is a good segment. I'm liking how this is going.
I told you, it's my favorite segment.
It's like fingernail polish, thingy that you just.
The smell probably gets them high as balls.
Oh, I love the smell. That's one thing I miss.
I love everything about new skin.
Yeah.
And I always needed to have Robbie's new skin, the blue and yellow box.
I was going to say it was Robbie's hand protector or whatever the hell they called it.
Skin protector.
Skin protector.
The ones in the bags, they just didn't do it. The bottles were shaped differently. I didn't like the. Yeah, it was very specific on my new skin.
No, absolutely. There was like a.
This is the stuff you get on Straight Up 5. Right, I mean, this is seriously like this is what's great.
There was a brand that was like a dark brown, taller bottle, right? Was that? Do you remember seeing that at all at one point in the 80s or 90s?
In the 80s, no.
Okay.
He was 5, so leave him alone.
Fuck you, man. Such a dick.
A brown. Yes, I do, but more of like a pharmaceutical looking bottle.
Yes.
Like a glass bottle.
Yeah, I don't know what brand it was, but yes, it was. Yeah.
I think it was just called New Skin.
It might have been.
NU-Skin.
I think you're right.
If I recall.
And it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same. You're right. Robbie's was the best. This is the dumb shit. Yeah. That I remember.
Robbie's was the best.
Yeah, absolutely right. Ocho, you had a thought earlier. You mentioned all your balls. All your balls are free. Free balls. Free balls.
As everybody knows, as every lady knows, they are free. Until you get to meet me, then you got to pay.
Right. You were having issues with your thumb in the winter or earlier this year where your thumb swelled up for like 3 weeks. And you were barely able to get it into the bowling ball. But Johnny fixed that shit in like 5 seconds when he saw him. Johnny, what did you do?
I'm gonna label my best Dr. Bowler friend here, and I'm gonna say that Butch is a house hack.
Amateur. We could say that too. Can we just
having said that, Butch is the definition of like the guy. He is the guy that has the most fun, shows up to league once a week, has a great time after league is over too. The exact same way I used to be. So I envy you, and I'm living vicariously through you to this day.
And I don't mind. I allow you, and it's okay.
But typically, people like my friend Butch here don't really put that much of an emphasis on going and get some reps in and like getting some practice and working on their stuff. They've grown accustomed
or buying their own bowling ball.
Yeah.
And they everything I have has been given to me.
So. And they say, oh, this is close. This feels close. I can throw this. And then they throw it. And then what they don't realize is inevitably what happens is because your body is such a fantastic machine, your brain already knows it can't do the right thing when you let it go. So it forces your body to do something different. And in turn, you throw it differently. And when you release it differently, it hits a different part of your thumb. And because you're squeezing on it to begin with, now you're shredding it on whatever part of that thumb you had to squeeze in to begin with. So when he came out here, the bowling balls he has extremely outdated. I will say that we got to get him some new bowling balls, number one. But all of the holes were perfectly round, and they were a little bit larger on top from the bevel work that had been done to blend out the sides, and they progressively got smaller. I would say they look like an upside down parking cone. So what I did was I had Butch put his hand into the ball, and I looked at the widest parts of his thumb because I don't know if y'all know this, but our fingers aren't round; they're oval. So,
and this was 0.08 seconds. He was like, I don't even think the thumb went in. He goes, I'm good. I'm like, no, you really? He's like, no, I'm good. I got it.
I took this tool.
Okay.
I took this tool with this top, and I went to the bottom of his thumb at the widest points of his thumb, and I pulled up. And I just pulled up the bottom section. And then after that, I just hit some sandpaper and I made his thumb oblong. Now, when he went to put his thumb in the ball, when his fingers were in, his thumb still went under his palm to get to the thumb hole, which me just doing this, I feel strain on this side of my forearm.
Right.
So the thought of having to do this every time It's all. I'm imagining how bad it's going to hurt. Right,
you're going to get stenosing tendinophysitis. That's literally somebody look up whenever you're listening to this. Look up stenosing tendinophysitis. Look up the form of that, and then you'll see what he's talking about. For not on video, for one audio.
Ask Siri how to spell that because I have no fucking clue.
It's fine. Don't worry. Stenosing tendinophysitis.
Okay. So now he has massive forearms, so he's able to compensate for that, right?
Butch?
Yeah.
On bowling?
Yes. That's why he likes to throw the ball hard.
Yeah.
He's not a finesse guy. He's not a finesse guy because as he starts, he's locked in.
Yeah.
So the first thing that happens when you're locked in to start, well, one of two things happens. You either know you're locked in and you got to give it your all to let it go. Otherwise, you're going down the lane with it. Or you lock in like Chris Barnes does, knowing full well at the point of release, you're going to completely yo-yo and you're going to completely commit to your shot. That's the two different kinds of tight grips. But so what I would suggest for Butch, based off what I saw in his thumbs, was he definitely has right pitch. The thumb holes are drilled towards the center of his palm, so his thumb is coming under his palm, which automatically makes it very hard to stay up the back of the bowling ball. It almost forces your hand around the side of the ball, which in today's day and age is a big no-no. So I would like to see a new thumb shape with some oval cuts and maybe changing, at least going back to zero pitch, so at least it's straight in. And just to see if maybe you come out of it a little bit cleaner, more consistently.
So like more towards like, I don't know, like my pointer finger, or
grab your wrist. Look at how far outside your thumb, outside your fingers are, or how far outside.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. So my thumb should be more towards like my pointer finger or something.
Now take your thumb and pull it to where your ring finger is under.
You can't. It just don't work. It doesn't work
the
like
way
that.
your thumb hole is angled right now. That's why you can't keep your thumb all the time.
Why did it do that?
So
I don't think they did it. I think that at a time in like when you started bowling a while back, you probably got a basic
just
pitch.
Got a drill that, and they fed off that.
And then you probably said, "No, this one feels great. It comes off my hand great. Yeah, drill me this." And then the pro shop guy goes, "Well, if he says it's perfect, even though I think it's fucked 8 ways from Sunday, I'll drill it the same way."
So
then you probably come in and then you say, "This ball doesn't hook as much as this." You probably never go in and say, "This thumb feels like shit."
Yeah,
I know it's me.
He's a fucking idiot.
I get him and then I go home, and then when league starts, I'm like, let's see what one I can use. And sometimes I kick the ball, sometimes I push it. I use that little railing thing, that like the handicap people do, and
that's the way to do it.
Hey, 216 average. Hey,
do we blame Fury for that? Is that Fury's fault for the way he drilled it?
Not. Absolutely not. It's never. I mean, unless a pro shop guy is really just, you can tell a pro shop operator that shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And no, I mean, John Fury is not only a class act, but a phenomenal ball driller. That's my dad's ball driller.
Mm-hmm.
So and me being a former pro shop operator, I 100% know that Butch walked in there and said, "This thumb feels perfect."
Yeah.
1,000% I know that John probably had the conversation with him to experiment with new pitches. And he said, "No, I only bowl once a week. It doesn't matter."
Actually, no, he knew better not to, because I swear to God, and again, we're breaking down the fourth wall a little bit here. Yeah, Ocho is basically just a guy that goes into the bowling alley to throw the bowling ball a bunch of times, maybe less, so because he doesn't want to throw spares, and then he goes home. That's it. We're there to scream, yell, rant, rave. Just like he said in segment 1, have the camaraderie, goof off. If we win some money, great, but I don't need any money. So that's that's why I'm not going to get to that level. And then when I show up at nationals, I say, "Damn, this is hard," because I'm a Yahoo doing this nonsense that it's like facing. Look, I can go to a batting cage and hit a 90-mile-an-hour fastball when I know it's coming. If Nolan Ryan threw a pitch at me, even at his age, I wouldn't hit it. It's that simple. There's a big difference when you get up to that upper echelon, which is essentially what this whole program should be about. It's like, let's experiment the amateur avenue and what does it take to become the professional, which JP could have. He's been around it long enough, but he says himself he's not going to put that time and effort in. Not that he's not a worker. It's that hard. It's that simple. It's that hard.
You nailed that one, Butch.
Hey, you did.
That was my rant. Am I even here? What am I doing here?
You're doing a fantastic job.
And my stuff is outclassed, he said. I outdated. I got to freaking buy new shit. I don't buy anything.
No.
Give me some new stuff.
We know.
Give me some new stuff.
Yeah. You should look at the Obsession tour.
Well, you got one? Send it.
I got one.
Or give me that ball from your J buddy there. I'll take it.
All right, you'll be able to throw it straight up 5.
That's the name of the show. So let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to do our bullshit session, which is called Straight Shooting. We'll be right back.
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
It's time for Straight Shooting. Johnny Jr. and the boys sit around, tell stories, and hopefully teach everyone some life lessons. Nothing is off limits. They let it all hang out. Get ready for some straight shooting.
Welcome back to the third and final segment of Straight Up 5. We hope you guys are enjoying the show so far. Lots of great information has been put out on the show. Now is kind of the real talk. This is our straight shooting talk where we just kind of bullshit for 15, 20 minutes and just kind of, just three guys hanging out, shooting the shit. You brought up a good story, Johnny, while we were off air. I mentioned I wanted to get your dad on the show and kind of pick his brain of what he was, thinking when he shot his 300 on ABC. You mentioned a funny story about Super Mario Brothers and Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
How did that all come about?
That was March 5th through March 12th, 1994. So I was 9 years old going on 10. That was the first year that I really got into watching the PBA Tour. Up until that point, it was nothing but baseball and music. So I remember distinctly sitting in the living room and hearing my mother on the landline in the kitchen say, "You fifth? Oh my God, how are you fifth?" And she comes, I go, "Mom, who are you talking to?" And she says, "Your father made the show. He's going to be on TV tomorrow." So that was the first time I ever sat in for ABC and the PBA Tour. And it was also the first week that they introduced like the smoke and they had the guys running out and all that.
Yeah.
So to watch my dad run out, it was very, very cool to me.
Yeah.
What people don't know, or a lot of people don't know, is the week before that, my dad had called me downstairs before dinner to tell me that we were going to be having a house guest. And the house guest was Michael J. Fox. And I thought he was joking because at the time, my favorite movie was Back to the Future.
Right.
I loved Back to the Future.
What a present. You were so spoiled. You spoiled kid. How about that?
I remember saying, "Wait, who is that?" I know he goes, "John, that's Marty McFly." So I nearly shit my pants. So he says,
I know him as Marty McFly, not Michael J. Fox.
So he says he's coming in for 30 days and he's going to spend some time at the house. So you got to make sure you hang out with him. Okay, Dad, that's a real tough task. So me and my close friend at the time, I'll never forget her, Carla, we started going to Carolier a couple times a week. And it was me, my dad, the late, great O.J. Olszewski, Randy Peterson, and Randy and my dad would just practice with Michael J. Fox, who was one of the worst bowlers I've ever seen. And he'll be the first to admit that to this day. But watching him learn how to throw a ball and look like a pro, that's all he had to do for the movie Greedy, which is what the entire thing was for.
And it was Ed Begley Jr. There was Phil Hartman in that movie. Like there were some studs in that movie, man. I remember that.
Olivia Diabo.
That's right.
It's a good movie.
Yeah. Nancy Travis. Yeah. So anyway, I had the luxury of that week playing Super Mario Brothers in my bedroom with Michael J. Fox because at the time he was still a kid at heart too. He liked video games. And so that was fun. And I will proudly say that I'm a better Mario player than he is. And then we would go bowl, and this was like it was normal. So for that to be happening and then turn on the ABC telecast to watch my dad win $100,000, and at that time have no idea how much money that was. It was obviously the greatest week ever. So now my dad gets done bowling on March 5th, 1994, and he's in Toledo, Ohio, and my dad doesn't fly. That day, the TV show was the Paralyzed Veterans PBA member doubles tournament, where all the pros bowl with the wheelchair bowlers. They halted the tournament, and they were all watching it in the bar. So they organized this huge celebration for the end of the Johnny Petraglia Open, which was the following week. So Dad drives home from Imperial Lanes in time to be there for the Celebrity Pro-Am with Michael. And me and AJ Kachuk joined in, and we bowled a doubles match in the Celebrity Pro-Am with them. Randy Peterson bowled with one of the cameramen. I can't remember his name. And then it was my dad's telecast. And that week before, bowling was still massively huge and on ABC. So I sat half the show with Michael J. Fox and half the show with my mom and my sister in the front row. And then I remember going to the truck with Michael and picking out a ball to drill for him. And then the culmination of it was a massive party in my dad's home bowling center, the greatest bowling alley ever, Cavalier Lanes in North Brunswick. And it was just when I think back at it, you want to talk about a 2-week stretch of like, did that really, really happen? Yeah, that really happened.
That's a pinnacle. Like, that's really that's a goosebump moment, man. Yeah, holy shit.
Sure.
That's really cool, dude. I mean, a lot of that stuff happened to you when you were a kid. I mean, did you? It's kind of all you knew.
How do you even know it though? Like, that's the thing. Like, you almost like you said, you're 10 years old, and it's like, it's not the norm, but bowling has brought you so much anyway. But you're just like, wow, this shit's really happening. And I mean, do you have your freak out moment where you're like, holy shit, I kicked his ass in Mario, now we're bowling? Or do you have to? I mean, you're 10 years old, you can't dial it back.
No,
or you just got to be like, I can't believe that whole shit happened. I'm going to assess this in a week or two.
I don't, and I'll tell you why. And because I grew up on a very personal level with a lot of famous people because of my dad and bowling. So, like, when I was 9, he was still Michael J. Fox. I was still 9, and he still liked the video. That's true. When I was 13, we went to Bobby Bonilla's celebrity bowling event at the Port Authority in New York City. And it was Kenny Lofton, Mike Piazza, Kurt Schilling, John Franco, the late Kirby Puckett. There was Paul Molitor, Frank Thomas, everybody you could possibly think of that was Ken Griffey Jr. Everybody you could possibly think of that was anything in the world of baseball was in this 16-lane bowling alley.
I'm starting to hate you already. All of a sudden, I don't know. I went from goosebumps to hating you, and within seconds. I don't mean to do it, but
a 13-year-old phenom in bowling. So now I'm just out there bowling, and the next thing you know, I have Mike Piazza asking me how to curve a bowling ball. So all of my relationships with famous people have always been intimate.
Right. Now, you didn't see him at a restaurant and said, hey, can I get you? You're literally in a setting where, and it's your domain, or you're in your dad's domain. So they're coming to you.
On a different level. Randy Peterson, he's a Fox sportscaster. He broke my goddamn bed when I was
doing a power slam or something.
Yeah, throwing a Randy Savage elbow on me. Yep. Like, when I say I have intimate moments with people in the public eye from what Dad has done. So I'm very privileged in that respect, and it makes me appreciate the people who haven't had that, because more oftentimes than not, you find out that a lot of people you idolize as a kid are actually really, really awesome human beings.
Yeah, well, you humanized them right there with that too, because on that level, you're kind of or they're actually again going to you. So you're only getting the human factor. You're not getting the getaway kid, you bother me kind of thing. You're literally getting the human factor where, like, hey, we're all equal here. So that makes it even better. Damn, like
they're hanging out in his house. It's not like he went to a game and he's like, "Hey, Bobby, can I have your autograph?" And Bobby Bonilla's like,
my dad was an electrician. Thanks, Pop."
Yeah, but Bobby's coming to his house and they're just chilling. So I mean, like, did you take that?
Signed a huge contract with the Mets, and he's at freaking Johnny Petraglia's house.
Did you take that for granted, or were you too young to not really understand any of that? Like, that was kind of the norm for you, right? So I mean, you didn't know anything else.
Honestly, that's where I was going with the whole playing
Right.
with Michael J. Fox. Playing that's you. I probably circled way too far, but Rob, that's exactly
You know
what I
what?
was
In a
thinking.
way, I think it was a good thing because I think personally what a lot of celebrities fear is the fact that they're so celebrity.
Yeah.
I mean, I think celebrities still want to go to Walmart once in a while and pick up snacks at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
So
Without getting bombarded and oh, you're the greatest thing ever, that kind of shit.
Yeah,
Like Ocho has to
They
do.
know that already. They don't need to hear it every day. That's, I mean, going on in the years, the other two people that I really remember as being just the best people ever. Number one is Jerome Bettis. Jerome Bettis came and bowled the Celebrity Pro-Am at Cavalier Lanes.
You told me about that a while ago. Oh, damn it, that makes me jealous. Oh,
And you want to talk about a mother-son combo of just really, really great people. I don't know if there's any better than those two. But
they
Jerome,
did a Chucky Soup commercial together. Of course they are.
Yeah, no shit. Right? Yeah.
And the other one is there's two more. There's RZA from Wu-Tang Clan. Used to come bowl at Cavalier all the time. That's music. Talk to me about music.
Yeah.
And another guy that I helped learn how to curve a bowling ball. That was at like 9 p.m. on a Thursday. And then the other one from that bowling alley alone was Mark Gastineau of the Jets. And the first thing I ever said to Mark Gastineau was, I have to ask what it was like to be with Bridget Nielsen. So,
because you weren't around Sly, so I get it.
Yeah.
And what was the answer? Hold on. What was the answer?
Said it was wonderful, but I'm a changed man now. He's I don't know about all the problems.
Well, now you got to call Flava Flav and find out from his perspective.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him. Like the homiest of homies.
Yeah,
well, you
for
beat
sure.
him to the punch. Hey, that tool you're holding in your hand, I don't know if you knew that I did something with it too. After you guys put it away, I took it back out. I'm just letting you know. Back, a couple of weeks ago. So I would suggest you wash it.
Yeah, disinfect that and maybe actually just throw it away and get a new one. Really.
Yeah, it might. I'm shocked it didn't melt. That's all I'm saying.
Note taken.
Yeah, well. So, this is stuff that I like. I mean, this is the stuff that nobody really knows about unless they know you, you're right? So, like, the general public doesn't know about the stuff. I like getting inside your mind and really just humanizing you, JP. I mean, yeah, you might not be a giant star in the world of bowling, but your dad is. I mean, so you still carry that a little bit. People know the Petraglia name. Has that been difficult, carrying on his name or trying to live up to his, follow his footsteps or walk in his shoes? Have you felt that you had to kind of, toe the family line?
Of course. It's one of it's something that unless you experience it, you'll never understand what it's like. Because half of your life you want to be your own, but half you're worried about because you know you have your own demons.
Right.
And the entire time, when you have somebody like my dad, who is the definition of class and is like the definition of an American in every single aspect of the word and does everything for the sport that's done everything for him, I get nervous when I drink a beer in public.
Yeah, where can you go with that? It's almost like the
When
setup for
I
failure.
drank 100 beers, so I didn't give a fuck about drinking one.
No.
It's things like that where constantly always having to try and say the right thing all the time, especially now, because no matter what you say now, everybody's going to know what you said, which is why I enjoy just saying it like this. So the hardest thing about it was he lived his life a certain way, and I want to live mine a little bit differently. Mine's a little bit more rocky. It's less structured, but I also have a different life than my dad. So I don't exactly know where I'm going to be yet. And what's happened as I've gotten older is I've figured out a way to manage the two. Because as I've gotten older, I've learned that it's okay to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You don't have to always try and please everybody.
The scrutiny may not have been there as much for him too, and I'm not downplaying what he's done, but obviously it's a different world now too. Like, we don't know that he didn't get in trouble. The guy went to freaking war when he was about to freaking he already won a bowling tournament and then got drafted. So hard miles, let's be honest. But whatever happened did happen. It was almost behind closed doors. So now the spotlight's on you, so it makes it harder, I would think. Not in the sense of like, just like you said, you're climbing uphill because you don't want to do anything. You drink a beer and you go, oh shoot, I don't want anybody to know. but you still have to live a life. And it's almost like, I don't want to say it's a lose-lose, because you said everything you've gotten was from bowling. You've been privileged to meet so many people and meet human celebrities.
Well, it's why I found peace on different avenues. So,
which made it needed for growth too. That's exactly, maybe that was the path to need for growth, man.
I'm in a career now that has nothing to do with bowling. I don't spend 5 days of the week being hammered drunk in a bowling alley. And I'm into nutrition and I'm into weight training. And I'll be the first to tell you that all of those things are to suppress the things that my body is used to doing. And I've just gotten mature enough at the ripe old age of 36 to realize that. And it's time to do things that benefit me now going forward.
Which is growth in your path, really. That's it. Yeah. And it's these are they, I don't know if they're hard lessons, but they're lessons in itself, because it is painted for you. Again, like I said, my dad was an electrician. I'm goofing like, oh, gee, thanks, Dad, because you're hanging out with Michael J. Fox and Jerome Bettis and all that. But I had no stigma on me. I could carve my own path from the get-go. I got to be Ocho. I mean, and shit, who wouldn't want to be me?
Exactly.
So just from that aspect, like now my son, whoever he may be, or the 20 people or 18 people that may be that are my sons, maybe they have a hard path to carve out. But no, that's the part of the fun of this show. But there wasn't the stigma of you don't do this in public, or don't flip anybody off. That's something like that, and especially nowadays. So I don't get it. I can appreciate it.
But knowing your dad the way he is, I mean, he didn't put any undue pressure on you. Like he didn't expect you to live up to his reputation. So you didn't have that. Maybe you had that pressure within yourself that you might have had to. That's horrible. God damn, that's horrible English. You might have had that within yourself to say, man, I mean, my dad's one of the greatest bowlers of all time. Do I need to try to replicate what he did? Do I need to follow in his footsteps? But he never required that, nor did he ask you.
Everybody handles a situation that's presented to them differently. I mean, my dad's idol is Dick Weber.
Right.
My dad's idol is Dick Weber, not because of bowling. It's because Dick Weber remembered every person's first name that he ever met. It was the definition of class, period, end of story. So growing up, and I have no problem saying this, one of the things that was always made known to me was, don't you ever act the way that kid acts compared to the way his father acts.
Right.
You both know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The problem is, from the time I was 11 years old, or let's say 13 years old, because the Blue Thunder was the newest ball from Storm. And it was the first ball that had the new PBA logo on it, and it glue in the dark, and it was the most beautiful blue I'd ever seen. And Pete Weber and I had a conversation at the JP Open one year. And I remember him saying to me at that time, you're going to create your own legacy. My dad created his. I'm going to create mine. I'm Pete. I'm not Dick. I'm a different person. But I still have the heart of him when I'm on the lanes. And I think a lot of that comes out because, as we all stated earlier, Pete's one of the classiest professionals, period, when he's off the lanes. I mean, I know everybody's had their share of situations where people would suggest otherwise. But all in all, Pete Weber's a great person, just like his father was. So
when he loses or wins, he shakes hands too, and he does it classy too,
exactly.
which is what is sport too.
But the problem is, I know all this now.
Right.
I didn't know all this when I was 17. When I was 17, I thought if I acted like that at all, that I would ruin my dad's legacy. So was I ever pressured by my dad? No. Did I put pressure on myself based off the things that he said to me? Yes. Yeah. Still to this day. And I'm damn fucking proud that I stuck by them, because it's one of the main reasons I'm still alive, because I do have that soft, gentle passion inside of me that both the Webers and my dad possess.
But think about this, JP. Also, plus just with the dad, it's your hero to start. Like, he's your first hero. You know what I mean? So you have that, and then you have the professional bowler, the guy who's the ambassador. So there's so many layers to this, which people probably don't even understand. And that's when you want to carve it out, there's, of course, you don't want to go on the wrong path. So you really are swimming upstream the whole time.
Yeah. And then, like, for instance, I said earlier, my dad doesn't fly. So when my dad would go bowl a tournament in Decatur, Illinois, and it would be over on a Friday, and he knew that either I had a baseball game at 3 p.m. on Saturday or my sister had a softball game. He was there for the game. He made sure that he could drive to the softball games. Meanwhile, I remember being 17 and him asking me to go get a fucking loaf of bread, and I'm like, Dad, I'm too fucking lazy. And it's like feeling like shit about it.
Oh, that's
like,
the learning process. Oh, my God.
Loved by everybody. Now he's fucking driving 12 hours to watch me strike out 3 times and I can't go get bread. Yeah, every little thing because of, like you said, the first hero who's already a hero to so many others.
Right. That's what
Who am I to come in and fucking step on that? It's a shit show, man, because honestly, I'm so much less myself than myself should be. Most of the time.
In your opinion, though, but only because of it's the standard is the standard. That's the thing. It's because I guarantee there ain't many people that say that. And maybe that's what makes you, like you said, you got new nutrition, you got new exercise. This is not let you carve your own path, and maybe that's what it took. But damn, this is deep shit. Were we supposed to do this here? My God,
straight shooting, brother.
We're straight up 5, man.
That's right.
Yeah.
On that note, that's fascinating stuff. But we are just about out of time. Johnny, always great to talk to you, brother. I could listen to you talk for hours and hours and hours, and we're gonna get into some deep shit, as the show goes on.
We will.
You never know what's gonna come up, just these organic conversations. And what I like about you, Johnny, is the fact that you don't hide anything. You don't hold anything back. You're an open book, which is very hard to do.
Long enough.
Well, that's true.
I know how to be respectful and not hide any shit anymore.
Honestly, and he's the most open book. That's all I can say. Ocho knows JP. JP knows Ocho. Enjoy the ride, people. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I know you're not really on social media that much, Johnny, but I know you do have a Facebook page. So if you want to plug that and anything else you want to get over, go for it.
And get on Twitter, would you? You might want to.
On Facebook.
Well, get on Twitter now. Start doing this shit. You're a pro. You're a professional. We're gonna do this shit. Somebody. Yeah, no, that's tough. Tweet my freaking. Rob will do it for you.
Rob will take care of it, and
he'll do it.
I got followers and boosted and all that stuff.
Wait do you see what he says about you?
You know what? We can create an entirely different me on Twitter.
We could, yeah, for sure.
I can give you all the shit that I keep off Facebook for Twitter. Are there pictures on Twitter?
You can put pictures on Twitter if you want to, yeah.
Maybe we'll do an Instagram instead.
Okay.
Dude, Ocho made an appearance at the Nationals on Twitter. Everybody's seen it. That thing went viral. Russo's tweeting it. Rob's tweeting it. My God, we had Husey, freaking Disco probably tweeted it. That louse.
Ocho, where can we find you on social media?
I don't know. Tell him where am I on social media? At the DR. Wait, what is my handle anymore, Rob?
At the DR Ocho. At the Dr. Ocho. Yep. At the DR Ocho.
And what else do I do, Rob? Because usually Midnight Mike does this. I'm probably on Bromance every Sunday.
Oh yeah, he does do a show.
And I'm on the RTW show.
I wasn't going to plug that, but since you brought it up, Ocho can be found every Thursday on RTW Main Event. It's our hour to hour and a half show where we literally just try to make each other laugh the entire time. It's a bullshit comedy show. It's nothing about that show is serious. Our tagline is we barely talk wrestling, even though that's a circle that we kind of met each other in. We try not to talk about wrestling. Just as, when you and Johnny would get together off air, you don't like to talk about bowling, but we're glad you get to do it here because
we never talk bowling ever.
Which is the funniest thing ever.
Even I was with him for 5 days. He filled my thumb hole, but we talked about everything else but bowling again.
And that's
the beauty of it.
That is the beauty of it. So you can find RTW Main Event every Thursday anywhere podcasts are found. And yes, he is also on a show called Bromance with Vince Russo, literally the reason why wrestling used to be good in the late 90s. He was the lead writer for the WWF during the Attitude Era. So Ocho kind of just shows up and phones it in. He doesn't really give all his effort on that show.
I don't do anything, no. But they're still there for me. It's okay.
Yeah, so that can be found.
I'm on the show, obviously.
No, you are. That's every Sunday on Vince Russo's YouTube channel. Vince Russo's the brand. Every Sunday night, somewhere around 8-ish, 9-ish Eastern, whenever Vince gets around to texting him and say, "You going on the air, bro?" That's when Ocho finds out that they're doing the show.
I tell him when we do the damn show. I'm the host.
Bro.
Until then, guys, we appreciate all your support. We'll be back next week for another edition of Straight Up 5.
Thanks for listening to Straight Up 5. If you would like to send your questions into Johnny Jr., send us an email at straightup5@gmail.com. That's straight up FIVE@gmail.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Straight Up 5 right here on the Rad Rob Radio Network.
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.